Yeah, yeah.
Hey.
There we go.
Yes, we made it.
Yeah, it's going on.
I'm good, brother. How you doing?
I'm all right, man. Yeah, I'm all right.
I feel like I know that yard around you as much as you do by now from your videos.
I thought I'd give you another angle today, innit, man?
Yeah, I like it.
You know what's funny as well? Like, so many videos I shot in my house, like, every room of this flat, people know, man.
I know. It's mad. But you've been doing, like, real bits in there, man. Like, real nice work in there.
Thank you, yeah. I'm like, I don't like leaving my house, man, even at the best of times, especially to shoot videos. So, like, to me, if I could shoot every video in this room, I 100% would. But just I like to simplify my life. So that's kind of like the reason behind it.
Yeah, I think there's a few creative people who are kind of comfortable with some isolation, like with some space to themselves that is different to if your life is like, I need to be out and socializing.
To be like, so most of the creatives I spoke to over this time have said to me they prefer it and they're enjoying it. And also, which is weird, a lot of the performers and creatives are introverts.
Yeah.
So same as me, I'm an introvert. So like, I heard someone say before, or I read it somewhere, that if you're an introvert, going outside takes energy from you. Like socializing, it's an energy taking thing. Whereas if you're an extrovert, going out, like, you need it. If you're inside, stuck inside, you'll feel dead because you need to go out and do your thing. And it's like, it's so true, man. To me, I could do this forever. Like, not
trust me, I am in no hurry. Bring in the universal income and I'm good.
Yeah. So to me, it's not really been, there's little things in it. I guess the only bad thing about it is the fact that you don't have your freedom. So you can't go out even if you want to, which again, now is changing anyway. So, yeah, man.
Have you been out since it started to open up a little bit?
Not properly. Like, I went to see my parents last week, and I went on the Black Lives Matter march in Watford. That was the same day, whatever that was, last week.
Right.
So that was like the only time I was social and I was seeing people I hadn't seen for time, out and about, and it was like, oh, well, you saying, man? But that was the first time in 3 months, other than going to the shops, which again only really happened in the first kind of 2 weeks of lockdown, and then after that, I ain't been out anywhere. I ain't even really done any walks, man. I've been out for a walk maybe 4 times this whole time.
Right, you've really been in the yard.
Yeah, man. I've just been here working and just obviously had a lot of music to get through and get out, a lot of projects to work on. So that's been taking most of my time.
I mean, you're a grinder and you've been grinding for, we both been around the same amount of time in this game. I remember you early days coming into the hip hop scene, and your work ethic was always a thing. You show up in all the senses, and I think in this lockdown, not only have you shown up, but you've shown up a lot of people who think they're grinding.
but this is the thing to me. It's never worked. I got this song actually. I don't think I've even released, and the hook is, they say that I'm on my grind, but I do this all the time. I tell them this ain't work for me. It works for me. It's fine. And it's like, to me, that's the best way I can put it. To me, it's never really worked. It's just like, this is what I do. And also as well, I think because I came up in before music and even during music, I know what it means to work. I know what it means for my parents to always have 2 jobs. So to me, this idea of, you got to record 16 bars, it's nothing. It's literally, I prefer, to me, it's easier to rap than it is to sleep. When I'm sleeping, I'm like, this is boring. Mm-hmm. To me, doing a verse isn't an issue. It isn't a problem. And I feel like in this kind of time as well, because it's a bit of a cheat code, because a lot of people I know want to make music, but they can't get to the studio.
Yeah.
They can't get out and do things, yeah. Whereas my mic is literally right here. I can pull it into frame. Like my mic is right there, yeah. So it's if things need to get done, I can do it. It doesn't take, and I've already been doing this. I was already doing it myself before it got all locked down. So to me, again, it's like, nah, this is easy, man.
So your process happens at home, like ordinarily.
Yeah,
You're
man.
not going to studio every time you want to like record a 16.
Nah, the last album I made, or the last project I made that involved me leaving my house was Private Moments in Public.
Right.
So that was the last time, and even then I wasn't going far. Terry Hooligan at the time was living in Watford still, and even when he went in he was in Watford both times. So, and I was living both places where I was living was near him anyway. So I would go to him, do our recording bits and pieces. Last Resort was still living in London. I'd go see him again. It wasn't far, a little train ride. That I think only there were like maybe 5 songs that we did in Dublin. In the big studio. That's the only time I had to really travel to like get some music done. But even that was just like, the studio's sick. It's a £2 million studio. Do you want to come and record there for free? It's like, of course. But yeah, I mean, so, but other than that, literally when I came back from Dublin, actually, so when I came back from Dublin, I was there for a little while, came back and I just got my mic and my setup, and I recorded some vocals, sent it over to the engineer over there, and he's Alwyn's sick engineer, one of the best engineers in the world. Sent him the stuff, and I was like, what do you think of it? Is it the vocals? Is it all right? And he was like, yeah, it's good. He's like, to be fair, like, I know the difference. I know what mic you used, and I know how to, like, to me, it's not perfect, but no one else is going to be able to hear that. And once you've mixed it and mastered it properly, and you've got the beat all in it, you're going to be perfect. So from then on, I was like, all right, cool. This is what I do, and that's what I've done.
I mean, it's mad, isn't it, that, you know, you can spend so much money on studio time and equipment, and primarily people are listening to the majority of music through their phone, through their little earbuds, like
crappy headphones,
plugging into the big sound system.
It's actually nuts, man. And I think as well, that's part of it that just kind of made me just think, you know what, just get it done. Like 99% of success is turning up here, and I feel like that is the bit that stops a lot of people from doing what they need to do, because you're thinking, it has to be perfect, it's got to be this, it's got to be that, and it's like, no, it don't have to be. Just do it, just get the work done. We'll work out everything else on the way forward. You're going to figure out how to make things better as you go, but the most important thing is to actually start the work and do the work, and that's what holds a lot of people up in success, especially for creatives as well, because the problem with creatives, they're all perfectionists. They're all like, like this has to be right, this has got to be right, this has got to be perfect. The bit I have over most creatives, I don't work that way. The reason why it's so easy for me to make music is because for me, I'm like, just get the verse done, man. Like, you don't have to rewrite and go over it 1,000 times. Nah, that syllable's not perfect. That has to be that. And nah, maybe I could fit another punch. Nah, man, what are you trying to say? Say what you got to say. Get it out and get on with the next one, man. Just keep it moving.
Yeah, I love that attitude, man. I think when you say it like that, it kind of sounds like it's an easy thing. I think the thing that makes that possible for people like yourself is you've put time into your craft. Like, it can come easy now. Like, you can maybe be able to like bang out the really good 16 that's maybe not the perfect 16 in that balance, but that doesn't just come naturally.
That's true. Yeah, true. You got to put in your 10,000 hours. Yeah, that's definitely there. But I also feel like even with that, you kind of got to give yourself some slack and some leeway with that. But yeah, obviously when I first started writing, I say this. Okay, this is the analogy, yeah? I used to play basketball, right? So the first time I ever played basketball, I was crap. Couldn't do anything. Like, didn't know what I was doing. I was totally rubbish. Did a bit of practice, started getting okay. Got to a point where I could play with whoever was around. Got to a point where I made the team. And then I wasn't that good, but then every now and then I'd have like a really good game. I'd be like, that's how I should be playing. Then it got to a point where that really good game was just how I normally played, and then I'd have extra good game. And then and that's the thing. So it's like when I first started writing, every now and then I'd get like, you know what I mean, this really good verse, or be in this flow where you're like, oh, I got that. Like that bar, I know that bar's sick. Like, and you just get those chills. You're like, I know I did it.
Yep.
And then you get to a point where you can kind of, they call it the flow state, where you can almost get that at any time you want, because what it is you've kind of got to a point where the skill's there because you've done the work. So the flow, all that business, that's done. But also you know yourself and you know what you want to say. And that self-awareness then puts you onto a whole nother level, because you're not thinking, you don't get writer's block, because you're not sitting thinking, oh, what do I want to say? I know what I want to say because I know who I am. So on any track you want to put me on, I know exactly what I want to say on that track, because I'm me. Like, you know what I mean? It's like Jay-Z doesn't think, oh, what would Jay-Z write? Because Jay-Z's Jay-Z. I'm me, so I know what I want to say in this moment. And I think that's the bit. That's where it all comes together. The 10,000 hours, really knowing yourself and really being able to put that down onto the mic.
Yeah, and I think that's an important part of it, is the knowing yourself, and therefore you can trust yourself. You know, like you say, you don't think, or Jay-Z wouldn't think, what does Jay-Z or what does Genesis Elijah want to say? I think what a lot of people also get caught in is more than even what they want to say is like, what do people want to hear?
Yeah.
And then they're trying to write what they think people want to hear.
That's a killer, and that's like, I've been there, yeah, on various different levels. I've been on the part where I have my favorite rappers here, so I have my Chester P's and my Kalashnikovs, and I want my verse to be as good as their verse. What would Kalashnikov say at this point? What would Chester P say at this point? And I'm trying to do that. Got past that, got my own, you know what I mean? Now I'm me. Then you get to the other point where you're like, when it comes to this arena I'm working in within UK hip hop, within the framework of UK hip hop, I know what to say to make the average UK hip hop fan go, yeah, sick. Okay, that's cool. But what happens when you come out of that? Like, what happens when it's not all fuck the government, when it's not all anti-establishment? What happens when you're talking about your kids, or when you what it is, you talk about a bottle of water? Like, how do you make that sound good? And ironically, you can look at some of the guys who I just mentioned, Chester P and Kalashnikov, who do that, who talk about, like, one of the first Task Force songs I ever loved was Cosmic Gypsies, you get me? Like, being in a place where, you can talk about whatever you want, and the listeners, they're gonna come to you, because people forget, like, the scene doesn't exist. It's not a scene, it's loads of different individuals who have been through similar experiences to you. So if you feel it, they feel it, and that's the key. The key is like, do your thing, you'll be good.
Yeah, and I guess that, like, it's interesting that, you know, if you're feeling it, they're gonna feel it. You know, you've got these kind of like cells or pockets that are connected through this love of a culture, a love of music, some shared experiences. But I guess it's that building of community with people that helps you get to that place of feeling like confident that when you say something that you back, other people are going to back it as well.
Yeah, man, but it's also like being in that place of, even if they don't, it don't matter. Like, you kind of have to always, because the game's fickle, innit, man? Like, I've had people that have been fans and have been like, nah, I don't like that new song you did, that had too much auto-tune. Then it's just like, all right, cool. Like, that's I want your old stuff. My albums are still there, bro. Go check them. Like, Depot Road is still for sale. You can go get that. So you kind of have to be like, allow yourself to grow with it, and also understand that this isn't about. It's about none of the things you think it's about. It's not about building a fan base. It's not about selling. It's not about the streams. It's not about the shows. It's not really about any of that. When it comes down to it, it's about you telling your story. So you can't allow anyone else to dictate what your story is going to be. It's also about expressing yourself and having that outlet. This, for a lot of us, again, regardless of what your creative outlet is, your creative outlet is there for a reason. It helps you to just get through life. There's certain things that I don't think I'd be able to get through the way I have, or deal with it the way I have, if I didn't have music. because
Yeah.
I need that out. The same reason why people go and graph, the same reason why people dance, the same reason why people play instruments, whatever it is, computer games. There's this outlet that people need to do, and whenever you're doing that for other people, you're gonna paint yourself into a corner, and also you're gonna find yourself not expressing yourself in the way you want to do it. And it's funny because some of the bigger artists that I've spoken to that have found themselves in a place where they're depressed about their careers, it always comes down to, I'm doing something for a bunch of people that I don't really care about anymore, but I need the money. And that's a place where I'm fortunate enough to I'll never be in that situation, because I don't care if I never sell another stream ever again. I'll be good. So then it's just like, cool. Then what do you want to do? That's just how it works, man.
Yeah, and I guess it does get messy when you're trying to eat off your art, like at any point. And I know, just following you on Twitter, like, you're a guy who thinks about finances, and I see you like, what? People are paying this for their phone bill. People are paying that for their car. Like, I think that having an understanding of that world and not having that kind of cliff edge of like, if this album don't do numbers, I'm eating fish fingers again. Like, can free you up to be honest with yourself about what you want to do.
100%. You know what? Yeah. So I did this. I started doing this video, and I haven't even put it out yet. But it was the 10 things I would tell myself as a younger artist, or the 10 things that I would tell you if you're an up and coming artist, the things you should do. And number one on that list is get a job, because what happens is when you're like, I did this as well. So when I first started, everything was hinged on making music, and all the money I was ever making was coming through making music. So what happens is you're stuck in this place where you can only go as far as the money takes you, and the money only takes you so far. That idea of having to make music to pay to feed yourself is going to put you in paths you might not want to go down. Having a job takes that all away. Your bills are sorted. You know what you're doing. You're good. The problem we have, especially as artists, we have ego with it. So we're like, yo, I'm Genesis Elijah. I can't work at Tesco because I'm going to be stacking the shelves. And someone's going to go, oh, right, Genesis Elijah, you work at Tesco. And they're going to look down on you for having a job. Like, that mentality is so nuts, because at the same time, no one ever has that same thing when they're selling weed. Like, yeah, I'm selling weed. You're probably making less than a man at working at Tesco's anyway. So what's the problem? So to me, that idea is like, no. Get your job first. So make sure everything's sorted. Your rent, whatever you need is sorted. The music is separate. Everything that comes in then is a bonus. And to be fair, that's kind of the way I do things now. Like, I do what I've got to do. That deals with everything else. And then what it's also done as well, it's allowed the music to really do what music money pays for music.
Yeah,
that's the way it should be. You shouldn't be taking money from other places to help supplement your music, especially at the point I am at my career. That should never be happening. Obviously, when you're first coming up, your music isn't going to be making any money. So yeah, take that 9-to-5 check and put it into your music, but not at the detriment of you living a decent life. You know what I mean? Being able to do the things you want to do. And yeah, that's it, man.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds real simple, doesn't it? And obviously, capitalism gets people caught up, and they don't really want us to understand money and finances because they want to keep us just trapped in debt.
I'm like, it's so funny. We've been having this conversation online, about the idea, because obviously now we've got pushback to not the Black Lives Matter ideal, but the Black Lives Matter organization. So the pushback to that we're seeing, it's all coming from the same place as well, is the Marxism. So it's like, you're Marxist or communist against capitalists, and everyone's got their idea that they're all bad, and it's like, nah, like you're kind of missing the point with all of them, because every single one has aspects that can work with each other, and it's like once you're using old names for new ideas, you're kind of missing the point. And capitalism gets a bad rep just because, again, the way it's being used.
Yeah.
The same with anything. The same with Marxism. the same, and again with communism, with all of these, yeah, there's so many different versions, there's so many different schools of thinking with each one, and the idea that you can go, that that's one is going to fit all, or that one is going to destroy the world, makes no sense. Even if you look historically, you say, oh, they were Marxists, that's why it all went wrong. They were capitalists, so that's why it all went wrong. And it's like, no, that's not really it. You're oversimplifying. You're oversimplifying the whole equation.
Yeah, no, I feel that. And then often these systems always work on paper, and then humans implement them in certain ways, and then humans do what humans do, and humans create power structures, and our ego again is a massive driver behind that. I
was chatting to this guy yesterday, right, and he said, me and him were on totally different sides of the argument, but he said something which was really cool. He said the only way that any of these systems will work perfectly is if you have a spiritual awakening. And I was just like, so you understand the process, you understand what needs to happen, but at the same time you're still out here spilling hate everywhere. But that is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think, and we have forums. I always think like the internet's a bit like, it changes people's behavior in the same way as driving a car does. People get like super brave in their car to beep at people and shout out the window, but it all changes once you get stuck in traffic and someone steps out the car behind and walks up to your window.
100%, man. 100%.
But I mean, again, I guess that's an ego thing. We're all however long away along this journey that we are within our species. It's certainly an interesting point in the map to be existing at the moment, with all of these different energies aligning. I mean, I've had a few conversations with people about could the sort of response to George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter, kind of the shift in people kind of getting behind it, could that have happened without also being in this space where we're not so distracted by having to go to work and having to do things? And is there something about those two things coming together that's allowed this to happen in this way when it hasn't with other deaths?
I think so, man. I think that's definitely an element to it. It's kind of that perfect storm. And I don't know, man. I guess that's part of it, but I feel like there's a lot of other elements to it as well. And I know, like, the conspiracy theorists are like, oh, it's the way that it's been funded and who's pushing it, and even that might have an element to it. But this is the problem: like, humans are notoriously difficult to control, especially in the age that we're in. And I feel more than anything, I feel like we're being pushed by morality more than anything. I don't think we're at a point where we're doing this. No, I don't think people are doing it for likes. I don't think people are doing it for clout. I don't think people are doing it for monetary value. I think people are really doing it because they're just like, people are just sick of this shit, man. It's just like, it's got to a point where it's just like, it's so draining. Like, oh, like, and it's embarrassing as well on both sides. It's embarrassing for people who are having things said in their name, like having things done in their name, having things done in their image. And it's a time where people are just like, nah, do you know what? Like, I'm just not on this. I'm just not for this anymore. I mentioned earlier about, I was in a meeting earlier today.
I've lost your mic a little bit. You've gone quiet. I don't know.
Sorry. You know what? I keep forgetting the mic's on this thing, innit? Is that better?
Yeah, wicked.
All right, cool. Sorry, my bad. So I was speaking earlier about, I was in a meeting earlier, and the meeting started. It's a normal council meeting. It's a normal statutory agents, voluntary agents, police, youth justice, like a normal meeting where you talk about what's going on. And the top of the agenda was, what are we doing in response to the Black Lives Matter movement? What are we doing in response to racial disparity in the borough? And it was cool to hear, because everybody was like, yeah, it's a problem, man. Like, even the police are like, yeah, we're trying to do things and we were already doing things, but more needs to be done. And as someone who spends so much time online and sees what it looks like you feel like, oh, there's so much pushback. You see the guys fighting the police, the far right groups and all that, and you're like, wow, this is some heavy stuff. But what you forget is, once they finish fighting, they sober up and go home.
Yeah.
The real work happens in another place. Like, it's nothing to do with any of that. And it doesn't come down to how angry you are. It doesn't even really come down to, like, especially over here, the rioters, the smashing up buildings and stuff. Like, that don't really change things either. What change things is when you change things in the minds or the hearts of people, when people just go, oh, do you know what? Yeah, that's not really right. Let's try and sort it out. Or even have the conversation to say, you feel like this is wrong. Let's have a look. Is it actually wrong? Are you actually right? Is there something we can change? And again, it's a humbling on both sides. It's really about the conversations we have, rather than saying, nah, you're wrong, I'm right. That doesn't move anything forward. And so being in these situations and being in these meetings and seeing things happen, changing from borough to borough, it's like a really good thing, man. It's just like, oh, okay, cool. All that stuff, all this fighting online, it don't really mean anything. It's like, it is what it is. But the real work happens in these buildings that a lot of people aren't even privy to.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because a few friends of mine who are, activists and political minded people I listen to, they are the ones, it's those spaces that are important, those kind of no prestige attached to it. You're in a local council office with a bunch of people not having some big fighting match across the table, like you're sitting and having a conversation, but you've got to be in those rooms to be heard. And when you're heard in those spaces, you're being heard by the people who can make change.
Yeah, and the beauty of it is, like, if you're about changing, you're about progress. A lot of people work in these spaces, and it's like one of the guys who works for one of the youth offending teams, he said, I've been waiting 15 years for this energy, man. Like, I've been waiting 15 years to get to this point where people are like, yo, let's really, like, come on, man. We got money to push into these places. And even, I didn't bring it up in that meeting, but this idea, this kind of misunderstanding of the term defund the police, and what it actually means, But this is the like, they're already doing things. Like, you can call it what you want, you can call it whatever you want, but they're already putting things in place where they're saying, all right, listen, we need to start moving money in different places, because number one, our police aren't trained enough to be doing the job we're asking them to do. And we also don't have the resources that we need for all the other elements of what happens on the street. So again, like, it doesn't even matter the people that are online that are going, what about black on black crime? What are you doing about that? They don't even, like, us. And my response always is, come work with me, man. Then you'll find out what I'm doing. Come work with me, then you'll find out what we're doing. They not one of them has said, yeah, I'll come down and work with you. Because again, it's like, it's not a real thing. It's not a real concern. I had a guy the other day say, what about all the grooming gangs? And I was like, do you realize that if the police stop stopping me for no reason, they'd have more time to go deal with the grooming gangs? Like, you see how that works? And really understanding that the targeted intelligence is so much more effective than stop and search. But the problem with targeted intelligence is it needs resources, it needs money, it needs resources diverted from other places. So there's so many things that we spend so much time arguing with people who don't really know what they're talking about, and it's like, all right, whatever, man. Like, I can't really deal with you, but I can actually be in these places and affect real change and make real things happen.
Yeah, I mean, and it's, it's easy to get caught up in it. I get caught up in it. People I know, almost everyone I know who knows better than to get caught up in it, at times gets caught up in it online.
100%.
But in
100%.
some ways, that is that's like almost the game version. It's like, oh, I want to go play politics and activism now. See if I can, like, take these bad guys out. But the real work, like you say, happens in these more parochial places.
Yeah, man. But to me, that's the place where people need to be. I'm organising. Well, we're starting as soon as this lockdown's over, organising groups to be at local council meetings. Like, if you go to these local council meetings, the majority of the time, I'm the youngest black person in there, and I'm 38 years old. So, 39 next week. So to me, there's a problem there, because then what happens in those meetings is things get spoken about that involve young people and they're not there. So you're talking about people who aren't there. So for me, it's like, how about we have a situation where we go, all right, listen, I want 30 man then to come down to this meeting. We live here, come down to the meeting. Where do you live? Get 30 of your boys to go down to this meeting. And it's not just a black thing, there's a whole there's a whole working class of white people who are in that same boat, who don't get heard. Don't get spoken about. No one's sitting down and going, do you know what? If we look at the stats here, we can see that working class white kids aren't doing as well as working class black kids. What's the problem? No one's doing that, because at the same time, it's much easier to leave it, let it simmer, and then bring it up in a couple of years' time when they're older and go, oh, no one cares about you lot, they're taking all your jobs. And it's like, no, that's not what happened, bro. That's not the issue. So my thing is, listen, there's things that are going on, and whether they're purpose or not, I'm not a conspiracy theory person. I don't believe in that. I just feel like a lot of times the people who speak up get heard. We come from a culture of speaking up, because like it or lump it, whatever reason, we've always been in situations where our voices haven't been heard in those buildings. So we've had to be outside with the pickets. We've had to voice our protests outside in the street, whatever way we could. So again, in our culture to do so, but these ideas that we have and these things that we do, they can be used in other places, and that's all we see. Even if you think about it, the idea of revolution, like these aren't new things. These are ideas that the Black Panthers took from other places as well. And to me, it's the same thing. It's just like, listen, man, there's ways that work to pressure governments for change, and you have to start utilizing them.
Yeah, and I guess what happens in those meetings and what then happens in local government and then national government is a refinement of what's happening on the street. Holding 100%. Your placard and shouting a slogan that sticks in people's minds and makes them think differently, gets expanded into the speech, into 100%. The policy document, into all of that stuff. I mean, mate, we just growing up, I think, is what we're saying here. We get
that's it, and you've got to grow with it, man. I think like the idea of being a lot of these kids you saw fighting and marching, even the rioters, man. A lot of people you saw that in the future they're going to be in positions of power, and they're going to remember. We do need reform. We need reform in all of these areas, and it is happening. I know it's super slow, but I just feel like to be able to have the conversations of, we need change. Just to be able to have that different inclusion. And again, there's so many different levels to this as well. You can't just say it's not just government, it's not just local government, it's also entertainment, it's also schools, education. There's just so many different levels, and all of those levels need to be addressed, and they have to be addressed in a way, in a manner that is effective for long-term change.
Yeah, backing that all the way. Before we sort of wrap up, as I won't keep you much longer tonight, but the way you're talking on that and what you're talking about, when I was listening, let's talk about the new album. There's a broad range of sounds on there. There's your kind of, one of the things I've always felt is a trademark of what Genesis Elijah does, is you tell stories very clearly, you create strong imagery, and your cadence as a rapper, like as someone who spits, for me, that's always like a massive thing, is your cadence it fits you in with a group of rappers where I always feel when you talk, I can hear what you're saying always, both thematically and like orally. And I was listening to that new Public Enemy download a couple of days ago. They dropped a new track, and I was listening to your album alongside, and there was a similarity that I felt in like the quality of your voice and how you approach spitting to what Chuck D does. And
that's cool.
I'm interested in. I'll throw it out as a compliment, man, because it is one. I'm interested in like how you approach this album and how it fits in with just how you approach rapping and what you're trying to do with it, and whether that's a priority or what your priorities are.
This album came about because we have to kind of go back a little bit, yeah. So last October. It might have even been before October, I have to check. But so around that time, September time, I decided I was gonna put out an album for January the 1st, right? So that was the plan. So I had an album, I was like, it's gonna be 2020, man, I wanna drop a new album on the 1st, boom, come through with it, yeah? So got to work putting that out, had it finished, pretty much done. Was in a bit of a problem because I had one track I was waiting for, and it was a track with Wiley, and we couldn't get it done up until I think Boxing Day. I was trying to get that track done.
Wow.
So what happened was I think he was in the country, and he's called me and he's gone, oh yeah, do you want to go studio tomorrow? So I've gone, all right, cool. But this is Christmas Day, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, do you want to go studio tomorrow? So I'm like, yeah, cool, all right, no problem. I was like, just give me a shout, just shout me. I need to go south to see my family, so give me a shout and then I'll just roll through. So gone to see my family, chilling, boom, boom, boom. Didn't get no call from him, like nothing. So I'm just like, raw, like man didn't call me for nothing. So is what it is. I thought, all right, allow it. Let me just go through with it. He calls me up the day, like 2 days after, and he's like, bro, because I'm kind of pissed, innit? I'm just like, I want to get it done for the 1st, and I literally don't have enough time now to upload it for I waited, and now I don't have enough time to upload it for the 1st. So he messaged me and been like, it don't have to be for the 1st, just like, as long as it's done in January at some time. So I was like, all right, cool, I'm gonna save the album for later, but I'll drop a single. So I dropped Practice, singles done, boom, 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 that came out on the 1st. So things are just kind of rolling. I'm still trying to get this track done. It's not happening. We kind of switch and we forget about Wiley. We're like, he's not going to do it. Let's try and get this track with Getz, because Getz was like, yeah, I'll do it if I have time. Boom, boom, boom. Trying to get that done. It's not happening. So then in my mind, I've gone, you know what? I'm not even caring about trying to do this thing for the 1st anymore, because that was really Wiley's thing. He didn't even do his album for the 1st. His album literally just dropped like a week ago.
Last week or something, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, right. So I'm like, I forget that. I'm just gonna drop it when I drop it. So getting ready to, it's all pretty much done. And then the pandemic hits. So now I'm like, right, I've got all these party tracks and there's no party vibe.
Ain't no
like
party.
This, I can't. Yeah, so I'm like, I've got tracks on this album that I love and I think they're gonna be massive, yeah. And I think but they need good videos. And I'm not shooting videos on Zoom with these guys that I've got. I'm like, the features are sick. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I've called up and throughout that time as well, I've switched management teams as well. So I called up my new management. I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, what should I do? And so she's gone, maybe like do like a project in between. Also, since the lockdown, when lockdown happened, I made five songs, and I put 4 of them on an EP. One of them was just a little joke track, but I put 4 of them on an EP, and it was the lockdown EP. So that was already out, kind of doing this thing on Bandcamp. Didn't push it, just put it on Bandcamp, and it was what it was. 4 tracks that I made those tracks in a day. Was nothing. So she was like, maybe just do like another project in between. So I was like, okay, cool. So what I could do is take those 4 tracks that I've already got and just add a few other tracks to that. So that's exactly what I did. So I took one of the tracks that was originally for the Vision album, which is house music, and I put that on this project. And then there was a track called No Challenge, which is actually an old track. No Challenge was done in 2016. The problem was I never had any project I could put it on. It didn't fit with anything. So
right.
It kind of like, it went with the vibe of it, went with it. I was like, okay, cool, that can actually work on that. So yes, I put that on there. And then Burn had come when all the other tracks were done. Burn had come out, and Burn wasn't like, Burn happened the day when after when the riot started, and when it all kicked off. And I made that song for no one else but myself. So it wasn't even, the beat was like a proper simple beat because I didn't really care. It was just something I wanted to do just to kind of get it off my chest. So that, I mentioned it, I made it, and people were like, yo, can I hear it? So I put it out, and everyone was like, nah, that's sick. You've got to put it on the album. So I put it as a bonus track.
Yeah.
But the main, I think the main songs like on the album, obviously the ones I already done really were about lockdown and being in lockdown. But Blurred, the actual song Blurred, the title track,
yeah,
to me was like just explaining why this album exists, explaining like I was ready to just do some stuff, man, and it's all just kind of gone nuts. Like I can't do the things I want to do anymore. And then the other song, Every Day, again was just like, this is literally the life we're living right now.
Yep.
And even Cancel as well. Like Cancel, that was one of the new songs, and it's just like, that just came to me again. It was just like, man, this year's fucked. Like, but and just kind of having
that energy perfectly.
But it just comes. It's just like, it comes from a lot of my songs. They come from just a sentence I hear or I say, and it's just like, man, Cancel this a fucking year, man. And then it was just like, I've got to make a song. I've got to bring that vibe to it. And it was a bit of a weird one because I don't really swear in my music that much, and that song's got a whole bunch of swearing in.
Yeah.
Like, normally I would have figured out another way to do it, but I was just like, nah, man. It's like, this is just what I feel right now, and I feel like a lot of people feel the same way. And then it was a case of, this project has to come out now because it's really current. It's about what we're all feeling now, and I kind of wanted it to encapsulate a time. Like, to me, I'm very big on having an emotional connection to an album.
Yes.
Because I feel like that's what makes music great, because it fits in with the time. And I felt like when I made this, it was about the time. It was that whole thing of, even if you listen to it in 5 years' time, you'll be like, oh my God, I remember when the shelves were empty. Like, I remember when we were stuck in the house. Like, I remember that, and this album reminds me of it. And yeah, man, it was a bad time, but it's something that we all came through. It's better.
Yeah.
That's the story.
No, it's a beautiful document of the time, man. Like you say, it's like, this isn't a time that people are going to forget, but you move out of that energy as life goes back or forward to like something different. And I think there are, tunes in here and ideas in here that will just spark you to go like, oh my days, remember 2020? That was a madness.
Because it's dark as well, though. That's the thing. It's like, it's there's fun in it. There's fun elements in it, and that's another thing I wanted the album to be like. I want people to kind of see the whole spectrum. Yeah, there's fun times, there's joke times, but then it does end on a quite, like, I'm a really big fan of sequencing as well. So I love how, like, it might take me months to figure out what the order of a track's gonna be. And even there's certain elements in a track that I will go, I remember what I did on track 4. I need to bring that back on track 8, so people remember, like, so it all goes through. So there's little bits here, and even 3 a.m. in Quarantine, like, to me, that song is really dark, bro.
Yeah.
It's and normally I wouldn't end. I would never end an album normally on a dark. On such a dark theme, and then go into Burn as well, which again is like really dark. Normally I wouldn't do that, but there's method to the madness. It's because that album is only part 1. The next one's gonna come into that, so it's like it's a cliffhanger, man. It's like I'm not leaving you.
Hey.
I'm not leaving you like that. And if you, a lot of people have already figured out like what's gonna happen with the two albums and why and how they fit together. But like, there's a lot of darkness, and 3 a.m. was a track that it took me. The way I don't write lyrics down, I just record in it. So the day I wrote that, but it took me like, I had to wait a little bit because I was like, nah, I've got to be in the right space to write this. Like I know what I want to say, and it was just, I think it might have been the day, like 3 days after or 4 days after Ty passed away.
Right. And
it was just like, and Ebo just died, and it was just like those deaths had just hit me. Ty's death hit me the hardest, like no doubt. But speaking to like, I just spoke to Pav like a couple of days before Ebo died, so I was hearing like how he felt about having one of his best friends die. Then I'm speaking to a lot of Black the Ripper's friends as well, and it's just like that. Like this is the real side of it. Like this is the real side of it. And obviously, two of those deaths ain't even to do with COVID, but it's that whole time, man. It's just the time, and it's like you kind of have this feeling over your head, like I don't know who's next, man. Like I don't know who's next. Like I know it's coming, but I don't know who's next. And I don't know where it's going to come from. Is it going to be somebody twice removed, 3 times removed, or is it going to be closer? And at that time as well, being stuck in a place where you can't really have that escape is the time where I feel like lockdown becomes bad. Lockdown becomes a thing where it's just like, nah, okay, I need to be out somewhere. I need to go somewhere, do something, even just go to the gym. Like I need to be out. And I really wanted to have that feeling of that claustrophobic feeling. But yeah, man.
And I think particularly when we lose people in our community, in our music world, it's like we would even when it's not. Normally, these are times when we would come together physically and kind of hold each other and grieve together and celebrate. And I think that really, certainly with Ty's passing, that was a time when I felt, oh damn, like this is a time I really want to go and just sit with my people and talk. I don't want to be WhatsApp messaging them and chatting on Zoom with them. Like I want to go sit in the room with people, and that's me even being that far removed that it's not my family. I'm like, you can't even come together family properly to do that. Like this is the dark side of it.
It's crazy, man. And like I've spoken about the day, like I made a video the day, the moment I heard Ty passed. I was just like, I was in a place and I did like a Facebook live, and then I did the beginning of the show. I did a Facebook live, and I think I did another live after the beginning of one of the talk shows that I do, and just having to get things off my mind and just speaking what I had to say, and it's that one hit really hard because I always felt like, and I think a lot of us feel like Ty's he's like we say that Rodney P's the Godfather, and you know what I mean, and Skinny Man's the crazy uncle, and Ty's like he's like the cool uncle, the one who's gonna give you he's the one who's gonna sit down with you and give you that hard talk, man, and he's the one who's gonna put things in perspective for you, and he's the one who's gonna give you that knowledge, man. And honest as well. Like there's not many people in this world like that who will sit down with you and really just be honest with you and be like, nah, you know what? You're wrong here. This is how you should do it. This is my opinion. And with love, with no agenda, like just a pure heart, man. And the more people I speak to, I'm like, oh, he had that relationship with a lot of people. There's a lot of people that could call him when they had a problem, and I'm definitely I'm gonna miss that. The game's gonna miss it. Everyone's gonna miss it, man. Everyone's gonna miss it. And then you have that pain for like again, like you said, like the closest friends, the people that are with him every day, the people that had the jokes with him every day. You're just like, man, like I feel for them, man. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's a definitely a tough one. But if anything can be learnt from it, it's just that kind of just continue the journey, man. Like we know what Ty wanted from this game. We know the direction he wanted to push it. We know what his thoughts would have been on a lot of things, and it's carrying on with that, man.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely keeping that energy going, I think is an important part. And that's certainly something that I took from it is, it just kind of refocuses you on the fact that you are on the journey.
Yeah.
It's easy to kind of like, you feel like you're in the passenger seat sometimes, and it's like, oh, it's all going cool. We're going to end up somewhere. And it's like, nah, drive.
Yeah.
Drive the thing and be conscious about where you're taking it and how you're driving. And I mean, and that's something, a similar energy to what I took from the Blurred album, man. Like, everyone's been dropping a lockdown something, or dropping absolutely nothing. But, I think what you've produced with that album, and it's interesting hearing the backstory of it and, the build up to that album, but it's a really strong document, a strong offering to the time, to the culture, to the music, to the people. And it's really is an inspiring thing to listen to, man. And
thank you, man.
I'm going to be bumping it for real.
It's funny, like, because again, I have this like, I always have release anxiety. So like coming up to a release, I'm always like, I don't know, and I push things back because I'm like, it's not ready. But I think in this situation, I didn't have time to push anything back. I didn't have time to overthink anything. Yeah. So everything was done so quickly. 4 tracks were done already without me thinking about it. So I didn't have time to go, I don't know about that, I don't know about this. And then I got to work with the guy who does my mixing and mastering now, a producer called Shapes, Craig Shapes. And he is an incredible producer, which is really cool because what it means is when I send him music, he's not just mixing it, he's adding elements to it, and he's kind of bringing it to like another level. So there'll be certain songs that I did, like Rebel. So when I did Rebel, I was like, I liked it, but I didn't love it. He sent it back to me and was like, nah, bro, I love this, but I need to add this. He sent it back to me and I was like, you just made it into an anthem, man. Like you just really just up the levels. And so to me, that having someone that I can bounce ideas off as well, it kind of makes the process, it kind of lowers the anxiety of the process, because now I'm in a place where I feel really confident about the finished product. So I'm not thinking, when this plays, is it going to sound as good as Manga's track, or is it going to sound as good as whoever's track? I know it's going to sound bad, so I don't need to worry about it. It takes up a whole level of that, and it means that I don't even have to dunk the ball anymore. I can just like throw it up towards the rim. I know he's going to catch it and jam it, so it's just like the teamwork is just there, and it literally it's made the process so much easier, and it's added so much more confidence into what I do. So that, like, going back to how I started this whole sentence, but this album was really what I would call a rushed album for most people. It was in the time it took, but it's not a rushed product. It's something you can listen to and you're like, nah, you can tell that there was time and effort put into every single song because of the way that we just work together. Like I'm quick with what I do, but I'm still a perfectionist in how the finished product is. And to be able to have the part where I can just throw the ingredients and he's gonna come back with a cake makes it so much easier, rather than what normally has to happen is I throw the ingredients, it looks like a load of shit, then I've got to figure out, how do I make this look presentable and in a way, and then I'm kind of on the last day, I'm like going, that wasn't done, I wanted to change that. Now I can just be like, nah, he's got it, because there's little elements, there's the finishing touches, the icing and the cherry is what really makes it, like, that's the bit people go, okay, cool, I like that. And they're the bits that he adds to the game, and it's just like, it's definitely changed the whole thing about it. The guy who did the artwork, Ben, like, we did that artwork time ago, because the artwork doubles up for the artwork or the next project as well. But
Right.
again, just having people there to go, he did the artwork for the last project as well, for the It Will All End in Tears. He did the artwork for that, did all the photography. But having these people there, it just takes the pressure off my shoulders a little bit, because then I know certain parts are done, but they're better than I could do. Like, there's no way I could have done it as good as that. And me, I'm a perfectionist, yeah, and I'm a control freak. But when I find someone who can do a part that I can't do, I love it, because then it's like, right, cool. I'm going to be throwing money at you all year. So all you got to do is just stay where you are. I'm going to throw money at you. We can just get this done.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And I think that's the healthy side of perfectionism, isn't it? That it's like, if what you're searching for is the best outcome, that the outcome is perfect. It doesn't always have to be that I have to make every element of it perfect. It's about who do I trust and who do I know that when I give my best to them, they're going to make that even better in ways I couldn't have thought of.
Definitely. And I think, and that's the way we're going to go moving forward, man. It's like, I feel like my career is, it's not where, I didn't think I would have this much energy at this stage in my career. I didn't think I would be competing in the place I'm competing. This project is one of the first projects that hasn't had a playlist placement. So really not having a playlist placement is a killer, because obviously it means I'm not going to do the numbers I want to do. But at the same time, the numbers it's doing, it's like, you know what? It's okay, man. It's cool, because it's not top or boosted numbers. The last project I think the last project is probably on, it might be on like 400k now. I might even be on more than that, which for what I do and the size of artist I am, is like pretty respectable. This one will probably be nowhere near there, but at the same time, it doesn't even matter, because the engagement is pretty much the same. Like, the people who really like it, the people who are really feeling it, I'm getting the same engagement. I'm getting people messaging me saying, yeah, do you know what? I really like this. Out the inflated numbers, because the thing with the playlist, that ain't for us. Like, that's for, it's cool for the money. Like, you might get a couple extra grand in your pocket, but at the same time, that means nothing to having someone who really enjoys what you do and is really feeling it. Someone who can really sit down and go, do you know what? I had someone message me, was like, bro, can you get me edibles? Like, they listened to the album, was like, can you get the like, I mean, like, they listened to the album that much, they're like, bro, like, what's going on here? And to me, I'm like, that's the bit I want, because I want you to listen to it to a point where you know the details, where you can understand the feeling where things are. The stream's cool, but even saying that, this project is doing better than any other project without the playlist placement. If you took the playlist placements away, this project is doing better than all of those, and it's literally been 100% organic, and it's put me in a really good place mentally, and a really good, like, I'm just really optimistic about what's going to happen in the future, because this is what we can do when I can't leave the house. Imagine what I can do when I can actually leave the house. And that's going to change it. No shows, like, there's no promo for this album. There's been no shows. There's been none of that. And so, to me, I didn't think I would be here at this stage, where I'm not looking at what I've done as that was my best work. It's like, nah, like, we got some stuff coming. The next project is already done. The project after that, again, is nuts. Like, the people that, the features, the whole sound of it, the team I've got now, it's like, I don't think people are even ready for it, man. Because I wasn't even ready for it. It's like, it's nuts, man. It's definitely a good place to be.
Exciting little seeding the excitement for the future there, man. I'm loving it. And that's crazy. I think the artists who are listening, also, that just hearing you sit there and go, the next project which is already done, the project after that, it's like, this isn't like everything's going into this release and then we start again from scratch. Nah,
it's the way I feel like as well. That's how it has to be. Consistency is a really important tool, and really being real with what you have is again real. This is why the playlist placements are really good for the outsiders to see. So you can see me post, yo, we just hit 100,000 streams on blah blah blah. and people, and then the outsiders go, oh, right, you're actually doing something. That's for them, yeah. That's all good. That's all well and good. That's marketing. That's cool. But there's another level to this. There's the part where the people hit you up before you even released it. Like, yo, bro, like, when's the new thing coming? When's the vinyl dropping? Oh, we just switched cameras in.
Yeah.
When's the vinyl dropping? All this kind of stuff. And to me, I'm like, that's the bit I want. Like, when's the merch? When's the new merch coming? Like, that, to me, that's how you build. And you're building a fan base organically. You're doing it in the right way. And also you're allowing people to grow with you as well. You're allowing people to go, yeah, like, I like the stuff you did there, but now you've got new stuff coming. And what's it gonna be next? Like, where we going next with this? How long are we gonna go with it? And what's the vibe gonna be like? The next project I'm super excited for, because I think it's definitely like it started. I think it's mostly grime. It's mostly a grime album, but it's a banger, man. It's like banger after banger. The people who came through with the features are massive. Like, no one thought I didn't think I was gonna get these features. I'm just hollering at people like, yo, do you want to do a track? And they're just like, yeah, why not? So to me, that's definitely like, that's a big deal. And then the project after that, again, it's just another, literally just taking it to a whole nother level. And hopefully by then, the team around me, as far as like management, I don't ever think I'll be signed, but the management team we've got together, hopefully that just all comes together and just gets the things that we need and brings it to a bigger stage.
Yeah, man. Well, we love to see it, Rav. And, you know, I'll be hitting you up again. We get you back on the show with these other projects, because, you know, whatever we can do to push it at this end, whatever I can help with to push it at this end, man, I'm here for it. And yeah, no, I'm happy with, I've still got plenty of listening to this album, you know, but still, I'm excited to hear the bangers that are coming, you know. You know, it's like, and I think that's a really interesting point about, you know, understanding the differences in who these different things are for, and knowing who that kind of core, you know, the ones who are riding, the ones who've got the real love, you know, as you talk about questioning on the album, like who is riding, who's got that real love, and those are the people that are hitting you up outside of the project, before the project, after the project, and wanting to be there for it.
It's like, I think it's really encouraging as well. Working with the distributor, with DistroKid, there's certain things they put in place that really allow you to grow as an artist and really get to see your progression. So one of the things they do is the hyperlink. So with the hyperlink, you get to see who's giving you their email address. So then you're getting to build up your database. I already have a database because of the clothing line. So I already have quite a big database, but I'm getting to kind of build that one up as well. And it's like, I see emails and I'm like, oh, that's so and so. Oh, cool. And it just lets you know, man, that people are supporting. And I've said this as well. Like, I don't even need thousands of supporters, man. Like, I'm gonna have that same 100, that core 100 fans, that core 100 supporters who every time I drop something, I just like, yep, boom, I got you. And it starts with family first, man. It starts with the people around you, like your close friends. It's what I say. It's fans over friends, because true friends are your biggest fans. And it's not the people that are like, yo, give me a free copy, or yo, give me guest list to your show. It's like the ones that you just see, they just turn up. You didn't even know they were coming. You're just like, damn, man. Like, you didn't have to do that. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm a kind of person as well. I remember those things forever. Like, I might be petty sometimes, yeah, but it works the other way as well. Like, I remember Flip Tricks coming to my show. I remember Harry Shotter coming to my show. I remember these guys Black Twang. I remember people coming to shows, yeah. Ty. I remember Ty coming to shows, didn't call me and be like, yo, I'm coming to your show. None of that. I'm just on stage and I look off and I see him. Like, I'm just here to support for no other reason. Not for no clout, no fanfare, none of that. I'm not trying to hang out with you and be like, yeah, I know so and so. Nah, I'm here to support you, see what you do. That's how we're doing it. And it's, to me, it's like, that's all I need, man. Like, I never started rapping for none of this other stuff. I started rapping because I wanted Chester P to know who I was. I wanted Black Twang to know who I was. I wanted Roots Maneuver, Rodney P, Skinny Man. Like, I wanted to be part of Feel Life Cypher. Like, I just wanted those people to be like, yeah, he can rap. Everything else apart from that is a bonus. I did all that. I did that years ago. Everything else after that year was just a bonus. And I'm just, this is overtime. I'm having fun with it, man. Like, you know what I mean?
You can hear it, man. I can hear it when you talk about it. I hear it in the music, right? And I think it's that energy is what people, you know, that's what the fans and that's what the listeners feed off. Because, you know, I always think that's what we're really giving to people with this art is we're transferring energy. You know, we're taking our energy, our strength and that power, and we allow people to absorb it. And then we're connected in it. And it's a beautiful thing to do. And it's beautiful to see you doing it for as long as you've been doing it. And like you say, it sounds like you ain't even reached halfway up the mountain yet, bruv.
Listen, man, I used to say all the time, innit, I ain't even started, bruv. And I was like, I had an album called I Ain't Even Started, bruv, that never actually dropped. And I didn't even drop. Like, I don't even know what happened to it. But like, that's the same way I feel. I feel like I ain't even started. Like, there's certain things that are going to happen that I don't think people are even ready for, because what we've done, we've put a limit on certain things we can do. We've said, hip hop is a young man's game. You can't do that after you're over 30. Like, nah, you can't do that. And it's just like, watch what's gonna happen. Like, I'm telling you, this game, it's not that, man. It's not that. This is for everybody. And it's not until you do it that people go, oh, it could be done. And it's just like, and my thing is always, I'm gonna be the one to do that. And simply because, and it's not even about talent here, it's sheer will. It's sheer, what was he saying? What is it? Is it Lockstock? Nah, one of them films. Sheer fuck-offery. Like, it's just like, just because, like it's because there's no, the energy's different, man. There's no stopping me, because I'm not doing this for anybody else. It's like, it's just for me. It's just for me to have fun with. So there's nothing to lose. And that's you can't knock a person down when they've got nothing to lose, because they're just doing it because they're doing it. So
and when you're loving it, why would you stop?
That's another like, do you know what I love? This is one thing I love. I love when people try to insult me. You know how I go on Twitter, right? And one thing people would do, so like, I'll be talking about one thing and they'll come onto my page to see who I am. So then they'll see that I'm a rapper. Then they'll be like, don't quit your day job, like, your music's shit. And it's just like, that's the worst insult to give to me, because I don't care. Like, even if it was, like, I don't care. That's like the worst insult, because I don't do this for anybody else. Like, I just do it. So
you ain't doing this for Barry.
Nah, man.
Barry, who's coming in your mention for no reason.
Do you know what the funniest one is? This is happening a lot, So people will go, your music's shit anyway. And I'll be like, you really think so? And I'll be like, yeah, you're rubbish. I'll be like, all right. Okay, no, all right. I might be rubbish, but listen to some of my songs. And they'll go, all right, whatever. They'll listen to it and be like, nah, you're right, still actually, yeah. It's like, okay, cool. So now because you like me, my music's better, all of a sudden, that's funny how it works. But yeah, that's it, man. It's just like, none of it is taken too seriously. Like, none of it's taken too seriously. It's a way for me to just express myself, and it is what it is. And it's a story I would love for one day, when this is all said and done and I'm no longer here, I love for like my grandkids, great grandkids, to like find whatever they're listening to, whatever brain implants they have at the time, Google brain implant, and they go like, whatever it is, however you listen to music, to like listen to what I was saying, man. Just like learn about your granddad, learn about your great granddad, because he has some stories, and this is where you come from, man. This is what we went through, and this is why you have what you have today.
Bruv, well, we've just added another piece to the document, man. So they might come back and find this as well alongside the music. So, you never know. Bruv, I'm gonna leave it there with you for today. Cool, a real pleasure chatting with you, man. Chopping it up, man. And I'm gonna be banging some of this music in the show. And
thank you.
Yeah, and when the new stuff comes, come back up on the Reaching Out show, man. And let's do this. And I'll catch you in the real world at some point.
100%, man, 100%. But yeah, man, this is super appreciated, man. Like, I appreciate, like I say, man, independent out here. I'm signed to the streets, so any help I can get is always appreciated, man.
Yeah, man, I'm here for it. Thank you.
Cool, brother. Thank you, man.
Yeah, and take care, bro. Is the album? I know because I see you talking about this with bare people. Is it up on iTunes yet? I looked for it the
Still
other
not,
day.
man. Nah, like I sent them the email yesterday again. So the ticket's gone through. I don't know what's happening, but nah, it's still not up on there. I don't know if it's to do with my distributor or it's to do with Apple Music. But
Right.
I will know by the end of the week, I'm guessing.
So it's still just streaming at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah. You can buy it from Bandcamp. I put it up on Bandcamp. I haven't
Up on
posted the
Bandcamp.
link.
Cool.
Yeah, but I didn't even push I don't really push Bandcamp that much, but it's for people that want it. Like the few people still use it.
Yeah.
So it's a couple of people bought it off there, but yeah, I'm just waiting. I'm hoping it's up before the 3rd of July when the next video comes out.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
Oh, wicked. Well, I'll stick a link to where people can stream it, and I'll stick a link to the Bandcamp when we share the show on Sunday.
Cool, man.
Hopefully, don't mess with your iTunes numbers too much.
Get that spike.
Yeah, be like, man, if he hadn't told him about the Bandcamp.
I don't even care, man. Either way, if they hear it, they hear it, man. I don't know what I mean.
Literally. Say, brother, I'm about
Cool,
to
bro.
out. But
Nice one, man. All right,
catch up
take
with
care,
you
bro.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.